All right, folks. Everybody hear me okay? Yeah. Good evening. Welcome to the St. Joseph Mayoral Candidate Forum here at St. Ben's. Thank you all for coming out this evening. Big thanks to our three candidates for coming along, here to share their ideas, share their thoughts, and let this be an opportunity for us all to learn and engage in the civic process. So appreciate you all being here. I want to emphasize this is a forum, not a debate. By all means, we may have different ideas, different opinions, but we can do that civilly. We can share our ideas in a respectful way. My name's Kyle Rao. I work here at the College of St. Benedict and St. John's University. I am the Sustainability Program Manager. I'm also a proud resident of our city of St. Joseph. So great to be up here. Thanks again for coming. Just a few logistics I want to go through, and then we'll get right into the questions. We have a set of preset questions, and then we'd like to hear from you all on some of the questions you have. First off, this is being live streamed. Okay, I'm told that our videographer from the back is pretty much focused on maybe me and our three candidates up here. But if you stand up and start walking around, you will be on TV. So just keep that in mind. Try to keep your head down. But by all means, we have refreshments over here. Please help yourselves. Restrooms are out the door around the corner. You'll find those. There's some students and other staff around who are here to help you out finding that. It is also being recorded. The recording will take about 24 to 48 hours, I'm told, so be patient on that. But the St. Ben's, St. John's mccarthy-center is where you will be able to find this recording posted. So please share it with neighbors, other residents of the city. Remind us all that please no excessive noise. Keep your applause to the very end when we thank our candidates. I'd prefer not to hear any chiming in or anything like that as we go through. Please silence your cell phones out of respect for everybody else in attendance, for our candidates, for those watching from home. Our format tonight is we have, like I said, 7 preset questions, so we'll go through those. We'll allow each candidate up to 2 minutes to respond to those. There's some circulating if you want to know what those questions are now. After that, we'll transition and open it up for questions from the audience. Okay, there are little note cards. If you prefer, you can write your questions there, get our attention. There's a number of students who will be around. You can wave it, and I'll point out and make sure your question is gathered and brought to me. We also have a microphone, so if we have some folks who want to stand up and ask their question directly, they can do that. Okay? A couple last things, just a big thanks to the McCarthy-Center, Matt Lindstrom, Anastasia Nathy for helping pull this together. The sisters from the Order of St. Benedict and their staff member Elizabeth Ream was a big part of bringing this together. We also have the St. Ben's and St. John's Student Senates, St. Ben's Catering, Security, thanks for being here and making this and just setting up the room. And I see St. Ben's as being a great community partner and being able to host something like this. Lastly, thanks again to our candidates for coming out, making themselves available, having the courage to come out and share your ideas. So tip of the hat to you all. With that being said, folks, let's jump right into our questions, and we'll do that with some introductions. So, gentlemen, please tell us about yourself, your personal, your professional, your public service backgrounds, and why you want to be the next mayor of St. Joseph. Adam, you're closest. Would you mind going first?
First of all, thank you to everybody that's attending tonight, everybody that's watching on the live stream. Thank you to everybody that's attending tonight in person, that's watching the live stream. Thank you, College of St. Ben's, for hosting this, the sisters as well. Just thank you for all allowing us to come here to be able to say our piece and let you know what we're all about. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Adam Saponiak. I've been on your city council elected for the past 2 years. This past calendar year, 2024, I've been your acting mayor, so a pseudo vice president if the current mayor is ever absent or unable to fulfill his duties. I've also been on your planning commission for 2 years, the St. Joseph Fire Department for 5 years. I've been a resident for 6 years, and also within the city of St. Joseph, I've been volunteering on the food shelf for the last year. As far as my day jobs, I help manage the Guns and Gears Stormway Park. That's a business that my parents started 15 years ago. They're happily retired now, so my brother and I manage that. I also am the managing editor of a website, alloutdoor.com, so hunting and outdoor website. and I do a lot of freelance writing outside of that as well, related to the hunting and outdoor space. The reason why I'm running for mayor is about 3 to 4 years ago, I was talking with citizens of our city who are bringing up grievances of how difficult it can sometimes be to open a business, just like the velocity and traction of going against government rules and regulations and how difficult that can sometimes be, the whole process. And me being a business, not a business owner, but having managed many businesses over the years, I wanted to help people make that an easier process. So that's what first got me into being in the city council, and it's what helped me stay here that I now want to help the city more and run for mayor.
Thanks, Adam. Mr. Bob Loso, please.
Hi, I'm Bob Loso. And why am I running for mayor? I earned it. I'm qualified. I've been on the city council since 1990 in the community, so I'm very community active. And prior to that, I was your typical Cub Scout leader, Boy Scout leader, and things of that nature. Then I got into local politics when in 1990. And I've done just about everything at the city level, been on just about every committee, commission, sometimes more than once, sometimes 3, 4 times. And at this point in time in the city's growth, especially with downtown and that changing, and so, I mean, bottom line is I'm qualified. I've lived here for just about ever, you know, on and off. I have a big history in the background. I could go on and speak volumes about my history and so forth and so on. But, you know, the main emphasis I'm running for mayor is I'm qualified and I earned it. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Mr. John Hazen.
Yes, thank you. Again, for those of you who don't know me, sorry first, my voice, it's a little bit raspy with 4 kids, and I'll do my best to try and project. But again, my name is John Hazen. I have lived here for most of my life, from 1983 to 2001, and then I moved away for college, got a Bachelor of Science degree in Community Psychology and Behavior Analysis, and then back in 2014, moved back here with my wife and my lovely first child, to help my mother kind of downsize here in St. Joseph. And me and my wife decided that this was the town we wanted to continue to raise our family. We currently have 4 beautiful children now, Nico, who's 10, Wesley, who's 8, Calvin, who's 2, and Helena, Calvin, who's 5, and Helena, who's 2. I am currently an operations and project supervisor for a company called Grantarian Third Party Logistics. I am also a diving coach right now for Sartell Girls High School and for Sauk Rapids Boys High School. And previously, I coached here at the College of St. Ben's and St. John's for 11 years. I was appointed back to the City Council in August of 2021 to December of 2022, and during that time, I was a part of the Personnel Committee, the Fire Board. I'm currently on the Planning Commission and have been for the last 2 years. I'm also the Vice Chair of the Joint Planning Board. I was also a part of the St. Joseph Jays here in town for 10 plus years, holding numerous positions all the way up to president. I am also the current president and on the board of directors for St. Joseph Dollars for Scholars here. The reason I'm running here is I have a passion to serve. I want to give back to the community that gave me so much during my childhood and now that is giving my family as well. I also am committed to building bridges. I want to connect between our neighbors and neighborhoods. I want our local businesses, our city government, and with our college here as well. If we build bridges between the past, it will shape the future for us together. So my vision for St. Joseph is to foster collaboration and create opportunities for everyone in our community. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Gentlemen, into our questions now. This first topic is on vision and leadership. And so much of the mayor's role is this public-facing spokesperson for the city, but they also have influence in setting the agenda and setting priorities for the city. If elected mayor, what's your vision for the future of St. Joe? How will you be of service and advocate for the residents of our community? Bob, would you mind going first this time?
Okay. I'm ad-libbing, so I haven't got a prepared speech.
Would you mind just bring your microphone a little closer, Bob?
What's that?
Bring your microphone a little closer.
Okay, got it. Question
closer
is,
yet.
Straight up to it. There you go.
okay, question is, how will I be of service and advocate for residents while being a spokesman for the community? I will listen to the residents and actually listen. I won't be the one doing the talking, the residents will be, and I will listen. And I'll disseminate what they're saying and pass that on to the council and let the council debate it or discuss it. And hopefully they can make a decision without the mayor interrupting, and they can make the decision. The council can be responsible, because the mayor's job is just to facilitate the business of the city at the time and to make sure it gets done. Every now and then you need a little help, depending upon the council, to move things forward, you know, and sometimes things get stalled, and that's the frustration of the people that are in front of you trying to get something done. And the vision of the city in the future, I wish I knew. You know, it's kind of month at a time, 6 months at a time, depending upon the economics, if it's going good, going bad, depending upon the revenues, how the taxes are going, if you have enough money to pay to do what you have to do at the city level without raising taxes too much or causing hardship upon the residents and the businesses. So it's kind of a balancing act, you know. The revenue comes in, but try not to spend more than what your revenue comes in, which the practice in the last decade's probably been, you know, spend and then tax later. So I'd rather, you know, spend with what we have, maybe save a little, and work with it that way, live within our means, and not trying to compete with other cities or so forth as local governments often do.
Thank you, sir. Reminder, just hold that microphone as close to you can, maybe within an inch or two of your mouth, just so we're picking it up and we're catching it on our live stream. Thank you all. Again, how about down to you, John? Your vision for the future of St. Joseph. How will you be a public servant? How will you advocate for the residents of St. Joseph?
Yes, thank you. Again, I said it earlier, my vision for St. Joseph is one of growth and connection. Together we can create a city with economic opportunities abound, where people can feel connected to one another, and where we leave a legacy and sustainability of inclusivity for our future generations. I am committed to building bridges, like I said before, between ideas, between people, and between the past and the future, to make St. Joseph an even better place to live, work, and grow. I want to see our city continue to thrive and grow responsibly. I love our small town charm. That means we have to have open dialogue with everyone. I envision collaborating with the local cities, with our county, and with Minnesota state representatives and senators. I decided again to file for mayor because, again, I'm deeply committed to the community of St. Joseph. It's a place where I've lived, where I'm raising my family, and I have a strong desire to serve and give back. I want to make a positive impact on the lives of our residents. I believe that in St. Joseph, we are at a pivotal point with great opportunity for growth and development, and I want to ensure that we move forward responsibly in a way that benefits everybody. I want to be a mayor that is out in the community, talking with all residents and businesses. I love all of the events that we have and that we promote, and I can be the face and the voice of St. Joseph if that's what they need. But I will also serve wherever needed, and I know that in leadership you're not right all the time. I know that I can't win for all, but I will do my best to fight for all. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Question to you, Adam.
So I view being mayor as a position of being a liaison to the city for other cities that come to us, for the residents. The mayor is a position of service. Like, the mayorship shouldn't be a position that's like an esteemed title that people hold. It's a position of service. So when people come calling on us, come reaching out to us, we need to try and help and serve our city. And the vision that I have for the city moving forward is I want to see our businesses continue to grow. I want to see that because people love our downtown area, our restaurants, the boutiques we have. I would put our dining in St. Joseph, Minnesota against any's in the entire state, any city. And with all the businesses we have coming in, that's a backdoor way of helping lower our tax base. You know, when we run for mayor, this isn't a party affiliated event. We're not liberals, we're not conservatives, we're not independents, we're unattached. But I believe we can all agree we all hate taxes. So if we can get to the point where we're getting more businesses in our industrial park, our downtown area, that can lower the taxes for all of us, and that makes it a more desirable place to live here. And like, we have areas for growth in city within our city limits, our city bounds. We can look to the south near the Kennedy School. We can look to the west towards our Gateway District, County Road 2. So like, we have a lot of room to grow, and we have a lot of good stuff that's going on here. So the vision that I want to see is just lower taxes, more businesses, and more families in our city.
Thank you all. We'll get into some of the business questions. We'll get into some of the questions about development on down the road here. But sticking with this idea of leadership, moving on to the idea of relationships, right? And government is about people and creating relationships within those people or amongst those people. So two parts of this question. In your current campaign or previous public service that we've heard from y'all's background, what have you done to get to know your neighbors? And as mayor, how will you foster trust and communication between city government and our residents that make St. Joseph a welcoming, safe, vibrant community? John, how about you take this one to start?
Yeah, thank you. I definitely have tried to make it a priority to actively get to know my neighbors and understand their unique perspectives of St. Joseph. In my current and previous public service roles, I've taken steps to build relationship, again, to foster open communication, to create a sense of belonging in our city. During these last 5 months, I've learned so much about our city. I've had time to sit down with one-on-one and in group settings with some of our residents to see what they're passionate about. I've also had the opportunity to meet up with business and business owners to see what they do. I have regularly attended community events and gatherings, which I absolutely love, not just as a public servant, but as a friend, as a neighbor, as a father, and as a husband. I've made it a point to be available and approachable and open to feedback, ensuring that I truly understand the needs of our community. There needs to be some more accessible channels for communication between city government and its residents. I can see us using our digital platform and social media a little bit more for online viewing and meetings. We also need to get more paper communication out there. There's people in our apartments that don't get the daily, or call it the monthly letter in our bill. Only the people that have houses and residents. So that's another communication that we should be able to do to give to all people. I would like to host regular in-person meetings to greet and foster open dialogue between city leadership and the community. Every resident should feel heard and should be involved in the decision-making process. I want to promote inclusivity and diversity. A vibrant and welcoming community is one where every person, regardless of background or income level, feels like they belong here. I will work closely with our law enforcement and fire and EMS departments and the community. This involves continuing outreach programs to promote my already strong support for both of those departments. We need to collaborate with local organizations like the JCs, the Lions, the Y2K, the Legion, the VFW, along with even the schools, the Catholic schools, and the college. We can offer more community events, educational programs, and volunteer opportunities to strengthen the bonds between neighbors, neighborhoods, and promote civil engagement. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Adam, if you want to take that question next.
So, can you repeat the question?
Sure,
one more
yeah.
time?
Relationships, community. How have you gotten to know your neighbors in your previous roles, experiences, and how will you foster that trust, that communication that builds a welcoming, safe, vibrant community here in St. Joe?
So one of the roles I have within St. Joseph is being on the St. Joseph Fire and Rescue. And a lot of the times that I get called to go meet residents, they're in a very vulnerable place. Like, if you ever need to call 911 for the assistance from ambulance, fire, EMS crews, it's a difficult day, whatever you're experiencing. So I've been fortunate to meet a lot of people in unfortunate situations, and just being able to help them through those difficult times. And even after like an event might be over, whatever will have driven them to call us, I'm still able to like see them in the community at the hardware store, at the bank, and like follow up with them like, are you okay? How was that particular event that you experienced? So going through situations like that can be difficult, but like, you very intimately get to know the people in your community because of it. Also, being on the city council and I don't like it, my home address and cell phone number is on the city website. So if you want to bother me, it's there. And I have a lot of people that send me emails, they call me, and my wife will attest to it. Like, if I'm awake, I answer the phone. So, like, if people have complaints or issues, I cannot know everything that's occurring in the city. So when you bring that to me, I'm grateful for it because it gives me more information, more knowledge to be able to act. So being able to meet our residents in harrowing events and sometimes phone calls where they're complaining about things, probably warranted, just being able to meet people in those different capacities, I'm grateful that people will reach out to me and they do want to talk to me, and I just see it as an opportunity that now I can try and do something.
Thanks, Adam. Bob, to you. Building those relationships, creating a St. Joseph that is welcoming, safe, and vibrant for all residents. And please speak to the microphone a little closer so our audio can pick it up.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Thank you, sir.
Great.
Keep it there.
Relationships and community.
A
Well,
little closer.
What's that?
A little closer.
Okay.
There.
I spent a lifetime creating relationships to this community through my life, through my journey through life. I've experienced a lot of people in St. Joe, not all. I established my honesty, my trust, my integrity, my morals, and my values. That's why I say I'm qualified. I know the people, I know the culture, I know what the real people, I'll use that term, want, you know? And I can speak for the city because everybody wants to live in St. Joe. I mean, you start talking to people that are not even from here, they want to try to get into St. Joe, and you know, the house goes on the market, it's gone. You know, and then there's the question of affordability. You know, I mean, the housing market's getting kind of high. That'll adjust at some point in time. So eventually people will start moving into St. Joe on the middle ground, middle class, if you want to call it. And hopefully that's coming in the future if the housing market breaks. And as far as community, I love this community. It's been in my life, all of my life. I grew up on St. Joe. It's in my blood. And I believe in the people. I think they believe in me, hopefully. You know, I get that feeling. So I think it's time for me to be the mayor. So.
Thanks, Bob. Let's get into some more specific areas of city government, mayoral roles. Let's talk parks and recreation, which I think we can agree, you know, outdoors, nature, green spaces is really a hallmark of not only our city, but Minnesota culture. So what plans, ideas do you have to improve or to expand city parks and recreation opportunities? And then maybe a little specific on how would you lead the next phase of the long sought after St. Joseph Community Center? So yeah, plans, ideas for parks and recreation in the city, and how would you continue or take the next steps in our city community center? Adam, why don't you start?
So with our parks and recs, St. Joe, we are blessed because we do have quite a few parks. And I think something that could like make them more accessible or make it more aware for most people is just a small PR campaign either by the city or CVB or Convention and Visitors Bureau of all the parks that we do have. A lot of people don't realize that they have a park within walking distance of where they might live. And with the parks that we currently do have, we don't necessarily need to get a bunch more parks or do drastic improvements. Just small things can do wonders for them. Like Millstream Park is an example. We took our poor basketball courts that we used to have and we're playing in a pickleball court. So now people of like all ages that love pickleball can engage in that activity in St. Joseph as opposed to driving to Way Park or elsewhere. And also still looking at Millstream, we added a dog park and we've added wood chips and small renovations. And just like sprucing up the parks that we currently have can just make them that much more desirable for people to want to visit and patronize. And then looking at our community center, this is a multi-decade, 30-year project that St. Joseph has been working on. And I believe that we're very close to the finish line. We have a fundraising campaign that's been doing wonders. Optimistically, they believe they can finish our fundraising by the end of this year. Whether that occurs, I don't know. I've asked them, like, pessimistically, when do you believe this goal can be met? And they said June of 2025 or middle next year. If we can have our community center fully fundraised by the middle of next year, I think that's a phenomenal win, because there's people more elder in our community that have followed this journey more closely than I have, and I believe we all would like to see a community center come to St. Joe, finally.
Thanks, Adam. Bob, do you want to take that question next? And again, please keep that microphone as close to your mouth. Yeah, and keep it there
reminding me, 'cause-
keep it there the entire time.
Okay. Parks and Rec, one of my favorites. That was my favorite thing back in 1990, because there was no park program at all. No money, no nothing. So through time and begging the council at that time to get some type of funding in a fund. So, I mean, we started out with, I think, $10,000 maybe we got allocated to our situation from the council. So with that, the park board, including myself, I was on the park board at that time, we put up play toys that are standing today, and we usually did that with volunteers. We did that ourselves with a little bit of reluctant help from the Public Works at that time. So we struggled and struggled and struggled till up to today. Most of the parks that are in the city, or all of them, were incubated back in 1990 by the small group of volunteer park people. So I advocated the council to change the enabling ordinance for the park board and change it to a park commission, which hands it over to the park commission, because we always had to beg the council to prove what we were thinking. So now it's a park commission, where the park commission has total control over the parks, except for monetary. I mean, I'm not sure what the number is anymore, but they had a limit that they could spend on their own, and then the rest of it would come for council approval. Now, I believe the park board, or the park commission, has a couple $100,000 in there, more than enough seed money to start things. So, and then the last proposal that came to us was the canoe docking area on the Sauk River. That's approved. It's designed by our engineering firm. I'm still waiting on when it's going to go in, probably not this fall, but early spring. And it's a nice place. It's going to be a nice place to go. And so as far as the parks and recs go, I leave it up to the park commission. Hopefully they have the strength enough to go foresee what's going on. So if anybody wants something in the parks, they go to the park commission. The council is just kind of the purse strings. I mean, you can go as a councilman or a mayor and, push them a little bit, but other than that, the decision-making is up to the park board on what goes on into the parks. They just need overall approval, so.
Thanks, Bob. Same question to you, John. Parks and Rec, that community center.
Yeah,
What are you envisioning?
Beautiful. I'm going to start with actually the community center. This is one of my top priorities, actually. Again, kind of like Adam said, it's been happening since I was a teen here. It's been happening. It's been happening. It's been happening. I want to see this community center YMCA break ground. There's been a lot of groundwork already laid in the last 4 years, including hiring an architect, hiring a local construction, W. Goman Construction, and hiring, like Adam said, a capital campaign manager in Kinetic. All of this happened, by the way, when I was on the city council in 2021 and 2022. So to push this through to the next phase, we need to have buy-in from all of the city council and city leadership to achieve this. This well-deserved community center will actually attract residents from neighboring areas. It's going to boost local business. It's also going to create job opportunities, not only for people here, but even people for the college. It also adds to the town's appeal for families considering moving here to St. Joseph. Having this community center in YMCA would be a cornerstone for both social and economical vitality here in St. Joseph. It provides essential services that will help our community grow and thrive. Like I said, I'm a really big component of this and want to see it get pushed through to the next level. As far as parks and recreation, St. Joseph maintains approximately 78 acres of land. That's a lot. It's totaling 10 parks. We also have this little thing called the Lake Wobegon Trail. It's 65 miles and it goes right through here in St. Joseph. We are well positioned as a city to also be more of a bike-friendly community. By providing safe and well-maintained bike paths, we can encourage cyclists and as a convenient, right, and environmentally friendly transportation opportunity, By expanding and promoting walking and biking as viable, safe, and enjoyable forms of transportation, we can reduce on the reliance of some cars and getting into our city. We also have a very thriving parks and recreation department. I know this because in the last 3 years, they have flourished. They've added sports programs for youth, which all of my kids are involved in, and I had the opportunity to volunteer as a coach. They're in baseball, t-ball, soccer, basketball. There's leagues, there's camps, and it's also very, very affordable, which is why we love it as well. They also have many activities for adults and seniors. They're putting it out there. Actually, one of my wife and I's favorite events is actually the adult Easter egg hunt at Milk and Honey. So they're doing a lot of good things and making our city more enjoyable to be here. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Can I just say one thing that I didn't get a chance to talk to?
You got 30 seconds, Bob.
That's all
Hold
I
that
need.
microphone up close. We want to hear it.
As far as the community center goes, we're meeting next week to renew the contract with Connecticut, and it's already renewed once. We're very short of the goal to get money, and it's also known as YMCA, just so everybody knows that. We started out as a community center, now it's into a partnership with the YMCA. So we got $6 million from the state on a grant, which we've been, throwing down the road at the state level because we're supposed to spend it in 2024. Now it's not there, so we got that longer. So I'm optimistic, like Adam says. It's all down to dollars. Everything's on paper. Everything's taken care of behind the scenes. Now it's just a matter of getting the rest of the money to go ahead.
All right. Thank you all. Let's move on. Let's talk business. This question, it's going to come to you first, Bob. Let's start thinking about what do you like about St. Joe businesses? What would you do to make St. Joseph an even more business-friendly community? And lastly, what's a business you think St. Joe is ripe for? 3 parts to that question. What do you like currently, Bob? How do you increase the business friendliness of our city? And is there any particular businesses you think St. Joe is ripe for?
Okay.
We'll start with you.
I believe that the city is currently.
You can keep it in the stand. Just pull the whole stand closer to you.
Okay, got it.
Yep. Keep your mouth about 2 inches from it.
Okay, got it. I like the current St. Joe businesses. There are some that I question that'll be here in the future. There's kind of a trend going on in other small towns too, not just St. Joe. But we'll see. Business is business. Some fail, some make it. What would I do to make St. Joe a more business-friendly community? I think we're friendly enough. I mean, we can always be more friendly, but you can talk to the businessmen that have started places up, and I don't think there's too many obstacles. If there are, we're willing, the council has always been willing to talk about it, make concessions and make additions or add a little bit of their thoughts on what you could do. Most of the people that have started new businesses in the last future year would be, I think they would say, yes, we're not, depending upon the business too, and depending on what you're asking. A lot of these businesses that are coming in are on TIF, or they ask for a tax abatement or something like that, and that costs money. The business is there and it grows, but we don't get no tax revenue for 10 years. On some of them, there's 20 years, and our budget doesn't, our revenues don't keep up with the demands of the city. You know, we got fire, we got police, we got parks, we got public works. You know, that all continues to grow, and if you don't have the dollars in there, so I'm okay with businesses coming to town that are gonna take the gamble and do their business on their own dime as much as they can. I'm not an advocate of tax abatements, TIF financing, you know, because there's histories on those types of programs. I think that's about it.
Thanks, Bob. John, same question to you.
Yes, thank you. Clearly, we have a lot of new and exciting businesses here in town. We also have some great, long-standing existing businesses that are all unique. We are a destination city. I truly believe that. People come here for food, for spirits, to go shopping, to go walking downtown. It is like no other town around this area. I think we need to focus on creating a balanced approach that benefits our business as well. We need to simplify the process, the processes of starting and expanding businesses here in St. Joseph. We need to make permits, license, and inspections more efficient and transparent. We need to continue to also support our small businesses. Our CVB is doing amazing things right now to ramp up and keep interest in these small businesses and our town. We need to continue to actively market St. Joseph as an attractive place to start or expand businesses. We can work with local businesses again, and by supporting these local businesses, we obviously create jobs that allow residents to live and work in St. Joseph, keeping more money circulating within our local economy. This not only boosts the city revenue, but it also enhances the quality of life for everyone. I've said it again, and you're going to hear me say it more. We need to connect bridges. We need to continue to grow responsibly. We can't run before we can walk. We also need to be very mindful of how we're growing. We have rural residential right now butting up to downtown commercial zones, and we need to understand that even though it's slated for downtown commercial, we still need to be mindful of the residents that live in that area. As far as businesses that are ripe for opportunity here, there's a couple ideas that come to mind. There's a lot. We have a lot here, but we also have a thriving arts community. I believe there's a great opportunity for more businesses that promote art, such as galleries, studios, or even event space to gather in. We have an opportunity for business to focus on renewable energy and green technology as well. We, again, are at a very exciting point in our development, and with numerous opportunities for business to grow, that this will benefit our entire community. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Question to you, Adam.
Excuse me. The thing that I like about the businesses that we currently have in St. Joseph is we have a great array of them. Like we have grocery, we have multiple grocery stores, we have lots of restaurants, we have women's boutiques, we have a hardware store. If you're a resident of St. Joseph, you live here, you can get most of what you need to live your daily life, and you don't need to leave our city. I really like that. We don't have to drive long miles to like go finish like a project you have at home or to like make dinner at night. So just the amount of businesses we have that can support a family here, like we can live and stay within our community. And the things that I'd like to do to help make businesses still come to our city even more and in greater numbers is help expand our industrial park. We have a great problem in St. Joe where we've filled ours nearly. It's almost full already. That's something many cities wish they could say. And as we get close to filling our industrial park, we should look to expand it and open vacant areas so we can keep inviting businesses to come in, to lower our tax base for the residents. And as far as a new prospective business that would be really enticing or inviting to St. Joseph, I've been pushing this idea for about 3 to 4 years, and now it's really hitting the pavement. I would like to see a municipal dispensary. Similar and akin to like a municipal liquor store, it can be something that's run by the city, and all the profits, all of the money that's taken in from there can then be used for city projects. The amount of money that other states have been able to make through dispensaries, municipal or otherwise, is amazing. And if we just had this surplus of money that a lot of these dispensaries pull in, what could we do for our parks, our sidewalks, our roads, the developments that we want to build south of town, west of town? We all want to like build out this city and make it nicer for everybody, but we need to find the money somewhere. And a municipal dispensary is just one idea where we could find a lot of money to help do all the rad and cool things that we want to accomplish.
Thank you all. Yes. thinking about businesses, where people live, where people work, Adam, I'll give you this question first. You touched on this. Mobility, connectivity. How do we connect these places? People live, work, play. How do you envision the city supporting a variety of these mobility options, transportation, so they can safely and efficiently get between these places they live, work, and play?
Something that we've looked at in the past is getting a Metrobus line in the city of St. Joseph. Prior mayors, the current mayor, they've looked at this. And speaking with Metrobus, it's about a $1 million ask to get an operated bus line, the routes and everything, just that stability within the city of St. Joseph. And it's honestly not tenable. But to piggyback on my last response to the previous question, if we have a surplus of funds through a municipal dispensary, or it could be other things, that could make projects that seem audacious and not, accomplishable, something more doable. We could have a Metrobus line. And in more creative ways, if we want to look to improve our crosswalks and our sidewalks, not necessarily repaving the streets, but just where we're walking and moving in our downtown area, we can look at APO-funded projects, area planning organization funded projects. That's something that we reel in the help and assistance from surrounding cities like St. Cloud, Sartell, Sauk Rapids, where improving our city is a benefit to the central Minnesota region. So then we're not entirely footing that bill to make our city a better place.
Thanks, Adam. That question to you, Bob, of connectivity, mobility, how do you envision the city, the mayoral role, helping to connect people to the places they live, work, play?
Well, I think it's a known fact that St. Joe is a business-friendly community. And the prime location would be downtown, because that's where all the activity is if you're into a people business, where you need people. Out in the industrial parks, and we do have plenty of room, yet we're not filled up, not even close. And we have plenty of room out there, but the sad thing about the industrial parks, it goes back to TIF financing, tax abatements, et cetera. And we have the growth on paper, but we don't have the dollars coming into the coffers for another 10 years. And then, the money that we give them back, that's how it works. We tax them and then they get taxes back. It'll take us 20 years to recoup that initial money that we gave away. And by that time, with inflation and everything else, this is my opinion, we're losing in the long run. I was taught to be a 5-year planner, not a 50-year planner, because there's no way in hell that I could plan for 50 years down the road, not even 10, and it's questionably I can plan for 5. But and what's the next question here? I'll get too far into that one.
Yeah, Bob, do you want to speak how you envision transportation, mobility connection within the city?
Adam occurred to the $1 million for an MTC or some type of bus route to come through. That was checked in through, probably 15 years ago, and the price tag was about $1 million 15 years ago. And we tried to partner with the college, but that didn't work out financially. We did ridership polls and all the surveys that were required, and it just came down to we can't afford it because the usership would not support the bill. It was a loss basically every year to the taxpayer, and that's how you get those funds back. You put it into taxes. Either you take it from other departments in the city, or you lay off, or you do something, because most of the city is personnel, probably 85–90%. So there's very little money after property taxes to do anything with. You can always bond it, borrow it out, go further in debt. We can operate like the federal government, and just keep raising taxes and, stepping on people's lives. Sooner or later, you're all going to get there with the taxes being pushed at you. Not to get into politics, but
We're going to get to taxes next.
Okay.
Let's go on to John. I want to give him a chance to respond to the question of mobility, connectivity.
Yes,
transportation
mobility and
within the
connectivity. Thank you. As mayor, I envision actually St. Joseph for all residents, regardless of age or income or background, can safely and effectively move between their homes, workplaces, schools, and recreational spaces. It's a key part of the vision to enhancing connectivity throughout the city. Again, I go back to it. We need to build bridges, but I think figuratively this time. We have almost 2 different cities here in the city of St. Joseph, the north and the south, divided by what? A big highway, County Road 75. You know, we talk about, we have residents and students that are split between the downtown area and businesses who aren't considered downtown. So how do we connect them? A long-term solution, obviously, that requires additional resources, but provides lasting safety enhancements would be a pedestrian or a cyclist overpass. We need to work with local legislators to help find fundings for these solutions, but that is a good problem, hopefully, to have to connect our city as one instead of 2. We talk about we have a parking problem, but do we have a parking problem or do we have a space problem? If you connect both of these areas, now you can park on one side and still safely get across 75 to walk downtown. You separate kind of the traffic and the vehicles, right, for pedestrians to safely get where they need to go. I envision one actually by Quick Trip and Subway if we can do that. Maybe over by Coburn's and 12th Avenue Southeast. That is a big, big thing that we need to do. The safety of County Road 75 should be a priority of St. Joseph here and our connectivity. And again, by enhancing visibility possibilities and implementing infrastructure improvements, we can create a safer environment for connectivity. Thank you.
Thank you all. This next question, we'll keep it right with you, John. Thinking of these ideas, infrastructure, the parks we talked about, we need taxes, right? So thinking about local tax code, how would you improve that to best serve the residents, but also our businesses, while meeting the city's obligations to provide those services, amenities, et cetera? And beyond the local tax code, any other funding sources? Any ideas for other funding sources?
Absolutely. This is a very big question that is not easily answered in 2 minutes. I'm just going to tell you that right now, so I'm going to hear it. I might go a little over. But improving our local tax requires balance that needs residents, businesses, and the city's obligations to provide essential services. My approach would focus on 3 key areas. You're talking about fairness, sustainability, and transparency. First and foremost, I believe that you need to ensure that the tax burden is distributed fairly between all stakeholders, especially for businesses, small ones. We need a tax structure that encourages entrepreneurship and growth while still asking the large companies to contribute their fair share. Sustainability, we need to explore measures that promote sustainable revenue generations, ultimately broadening our tax base without needing to raise taxes for residents. By improving transparency around the city spending and the allocation of tax revenue, we can build trust to ensure that the residents feel confident that they know where their money is going and being spent. My goal is to find innovative ways to fund necessary city improvements by exploring outside grants or partnerships and creating revenue sources that we can achieve sustainable growth while keeping our local tax rates down and reasonable. There's opportunities for state and federal grants. We got to look into that. There's money out there, but we need to bring it here to our city. Again, we have to work with our legislators and our state House representatives. We talk about public-private partnerships. By collaborating with local businesses and investors, even the colleges here, we can fund large-scale infrastructures or community projects. We talk about long-term projects such as upgrading roads and public facilities. We need to issue municipal bonds. It could be a very smart choice. We need to increase our tourism, our revenue, by promoting St. Joseph as a destination city where we hold events and festivals and culture, and that brings money into our city. Another idea is crowdfunding and community-led initiatives. Maybe for smaller community-based projects, we can encourage residents like yourself to directly talk about crowdfunding and community efforts and work together to raise the money ourselves here. The priority is to ensure that our city has the resources it needs to thrive while also protecting the financial well-being of all of us and the residents and the businesses. This requires, though, again, collaboration and community input, and we need to be thoughtful in what we need to do. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Adam, same question to you. Improving the tax code, benefiting residents, benefiting, attracting businesses. Any other ideas for funding sources?
So I've been saying this all evening, but to lower our tax base, it's great to get more businesses in our city. That's going to lower the taxes for all of our residents, and that's what's going to fuel all of our projects within the city. And like both of John and Bob have stated, we also need to look at our state level, whether that's securing state grants, looking at bonding. That's where a lot of dollars can come to fund projects for us that we alone could not fund. Like Bob had mentioned, we secured a $6 million grant for the community center. That goes a long ways on an expensive project. I had a resident this past February, found my phone number on the website, and he contacted me, and he asked for an improvement in a crosswalk by his house because his wife goes for walks and he's concerned for her. This was when the County Road 75 bridge was out. Everybody was driving south of town more, and he wanted a safer portion of the community for his family and his wife. So we reached out to the state, we worked, we found him a $95,000 grant for a crosswalk. That's amazing. That's something that the city never would have been able to foot by themselves. But because we secured that, we have winter coming. Next spring, we're gonna build him a new crosswalk. So at a state level, a county level, we can secure grants, we can secure money that's gonna help go a long ways within our community. And as far as the other outside sources, we need to look at kind of big fish projects to bring in more tax money. That could be the community center. If we can get that through the finish line, that's going to be a huge driver of revenue for the city because it's getting people into that business, it's getting them to buy gas here, stop at the restaurants, and then also other ideas like the municipal dispensary. That's something that seems kind of otherworldly, a very audacious idea, but like cannabis is legal in our state. And that's something that we should really look to approach because it could bring a lot of money to our community.
Thanks, Adam. Bob, same question to you. Improving the tax code.
Tax is an interesting subject. It all starts at the federal level. The state gets their money from the feds. The state doles it out to the counties and the cities. Okay, so we apply for grants, aids, whatever. Half of our city's budget is, I call state welfare. It's called LGA. Basically, at most cities, Way Park gets $0 on this program, but we get half of our anticipated budget through LGA, which is basically money that the state gives us twice a year to help fund our budget. So, you know, we only pay, property taxes only cover half of the budget, which is kind of ironic. So, but that's how the taxes are. As far as improving the tax code, that's not in the local city government's wheelhouse. Okay, that's at the legislative level. I mean, we can, you know, push our legislatures for this and for that, but it, you know, usually it doesn't go anywhere. You know, it's usually tax, tax, tax. And so, and the way it's going, it's not sustainable. You know, the way taxes, if you've been following your taxes throughout the years, which I have for 30, 40 years, the increases and what the money's spent on, there's a lot of wasted money. I'm a firm believer in living within my means. I have money coming in, I can spend that money, but I can also save it, you know, it's just prudent financials, you know, for the rainy day. You know, presently the system, we put our budget together, and then whatever we come up short, that's your tax increase. Sure, there's going to be a normal tax increase every year because of inflation, you know, and the city's budget is mostly personnel and related costs, insurance, FICA, Medicare, all that good stuff. So, and lately it's just been, you know, get a budget, whatever we're short, just throw it back on the taxpayers. And I don't agree with that. I believe live within your means. You can't outspend your dollars that you have because that's, in the end game, that's a financial mess. You know, you end up in bankruptcy court or, you know, getting run out of town by your creditors. So, yeah.
Thank you, sir. You nailed it.
Okay.
One final question, then we're going to turn it over to the audience to ask some additional questions if they'd like. perhaps not changing that tax code, as you said, Bob, but increasing that tax base. A lot of that is based on housing development, right? How would you approach housing development? I know in the 10 years I've been living in the city, there's been a lot of increased development. We're kind of on the fringe of the larger St. Cloud metro area. How would you approach housing and development growth within St. Joe? How do you pair that growth with affordable housing? Adam, do you want to take that first? Sure.
So in the city of St. Joseph, we have a great heart to our city, the central area of our city, and the areas that we're going to grow are essentially to the south, a little bit to the north, and to the west. Butted to the west of us is Way Park, so we just have a few places that we can really see growth as far as housing. And for the areas that we have opportunity for growth, there's ways that we can make it more desirable for builders and developers to come in. We as a city can't directly affect housing prices. Like, we can't make them lower, we don't directly make them higher, but we can, through the fees that we levy, make it more desirable for developers and builders to come in. An example of that is the WAC fees that can be levied onto builders and developers. That's the water accessibility charge. So if a developer comes in, they need to get hooked up to city water. There's a fee that the city charges. There's also a SAC fee, a sanitary access fee, so getting hooked up to city sewers. We as a city set that fee, and if a developer or builder comes in and they make it desirable for us to have them bring in houses, maybe they're going to bring in a large burgeoning business to the industrial park, and they're going to bring in 200 jobs. We would like to see those people with the new jobs that are brought to our town live in our town. So there are things as a city, in our city government, we can do to make there be less fees and make it more desirable for the builders and developers to come in. And if there's a bigger ask, like more houses, larger development, then we'd have to look at a lift station, a place that's going to be able to physically pump and push these city utilities to these new houses that are coming in. So as a city, we can't directly affect the housing prices, but we can make it way more desirable for the builders and developers to come in to make this a possibility for people that want to live here.
Thanks, Adam. Same question to you, Bob.
Okay. Adam alluded to whack and sack. Okay, for lack of knowledge, whack and sack fees do fund other revenue, other bills in the city. Okay, by reducing whack and sack, you also reduce your revenue on your overall budget. And then that affects, it's like a domino effect, it just falls down the line. Then you're short on funding for this, you're short on funding for that, and then it goes back into your property tax, anyway, I forgot the word here, but your taxes, valorem income taxes it's called. And so, by the whack and sack fees support other situations in our enterprise funds, which is our water and sewer. Those support on themselves. And then if we don't have them funds, we're short on operating funds for that. And then we got to raise our water rates, which people scream about. I mean, the water bill is okay, I guess, but you start putting all the fees that are on your water bill, that's more than the water bill itself. So that's the main complaint out there. Water, I mean, it's not cheap, but it's doable. But all the fees that go on there to support other things, and the whack and sack is part of that big picture that supports the enterprise systems, which affects all your costs on your water and sewer rates. Those go up, your expenses go up pretty soon. I mean, 10 years from now, you're going to be paying $600 a month probably for a utility bill. I don't know. Maybe that's the future. But we try to keep that down, as much as we can, because there isn't a profit on the enterprise funds. Very seldom you put depreciation and all that in there. I mean, you're losing money every year, but it works out. And financial, as far as the tax code, we don't have.
No, we did the tax code. We covered that. Anything else as far as development you want to say, Bob? 30 more seconds to wrap up.
As far as affordable housing. Okay, depending on what you do, how you define affordable housing. Some people define that in the negative manner, and some people, they don't want it. You know, they.
You said earlier how St. Joe, the prices, home prices, I know, as Adam said,
Right.
you're not affecting that.
my
Is there
opinion,
other opportunity
for the
as a
average
mayor for the city government to make more affordable housing
Right,
within
we can
city confines?
compromise on permit fees. We can, density, we can make compromise on density instead of a developer coming in for, 2.5 acre, 3 acre lots, so that's a high-end housing property more than likely. Reduce that down to more houses, more profit for developers. That's the bottom line. How much money can the developers make when they do this? They're looking at their profit margin. And if they can't sell it where the market is, they have to have a cheaper house because they're going to sell more middle row houses than the high-end houses.
Thanks, Bob.
Yep.
Final question to you.
Thank you. Again, we all know that St. Joseph is growing. And obviously, with growth comes responsibility, right, to ensure that our housing and development actually meets the needs of all residents. We need to have a strategic approach to housing and development growth itself. Adam and Bob both talked about it, right? Our sewer, our water, lift stations are needed. But we also need to maintain our small town charm while providing affordable housing options. Affordable housing is a critical need in our growing community. We need to work to ensure that a portion of new housing development includes affordable options, such as even townhomes or duplexes or patio homes. I know we have some of those, but this would allow residents from various income levels, whether they are young professionals, working families like myself, or retirees, to find a house that suits them without the needs of being priced out of our community. That is a big thing. We need to, again, collaborate with our housing developers. By doing this, maybe we offer tax breaks or grants or low-interest loans to developers who include affordable units in their projects. We need to encourage the growth of housing that is both attainable and high quality. Our population grows. As it grows, we must ensure that the infrastructures as well, our roads and our utilities, grow with it. We as a city need to prioritize the expansion and improve infrastructures in developing areas, ensuring that the new housing develops are well supported with city sewer and water. We need to work with the developers to also, again, to add new lift stations. But again, we can't run before we can walk. This is called responsible growth. We need to do that. I understand that growth can raise concerns about traffic or infrastructures or maintaining our small town charm, but we need to work on focusing thoughtful planning that prioritizes quality of life and community well-being. We need to look at our strategic plan and follow what was set forth, or listen to the community about their concerns and pivot. I'm about building bridges. I've said it multiple times, and connecting, but it's also about building balance in our community. By encouraging diverse, affordable housing options and working with developers, we're planning smarter and for sustainable growth. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thank you all, candidates, for answering our questions thoroughly. I'd like to turn to the audience now. We do have a couple volunteers, I think, who are going to come around with the microphone. Could we just see hands? Is there any audience members who would like to ask a question? I see one in the back. Right here, sir. Microphone right on the... you could give a little test.
Hello. There we go.
Hello, good evening. Thank you again, gentlemen, for running for the position of mayor. As you know, I am a current council member, but I am asking this question as a resident. And realizing communication, as I started 4 years ago as a council member, I noticed the communication for the city and to the residents. Now, we do have a couple of avenues that information can get out. I'd love to hear your ideas of how you would be able to bridge that gap even more for the residents to be able to hear what the city is doing and what's going on in the city.
I'll tackle this first if you guys don't mind.
Go ahead.
We live in a 21st century society. You guys all understand this. Not telling you anything you don't know. And I think like our city, at a city level, we could be utilizing social media more. Like we could be easily sending out email notifications to various issues or like positive things that be occurring in the city. So we can look to technology to like remove this burden of communication as opposed to trying to do everything word of mouth, which is still a valuable form of communication, but look to rely on technology more so things can be automated. So when we have a planning commission meeting, a park board meeting, a city council meeting, if there's something wrong with our refuse being picked up because there's a snowstorm or there's snow plows, when there's things that arise in the community, we don't have to rely on older forms of communication like a newsletter that comes with our utility bill or a newspaper, which are still valid ways of communicating, but we can look to do faster ways of communicating as well, just utilizing social media, technology like email, and also something that Bob and I talked about while we were getting ready for this evening. We used to have our meetings live stream on Charter for City Council, and there's a gap there. Either it's the technology within the city or there's an issue with Charter, but people who utilize Midco for their television and internet services are able to watch our meetings directly on their television, whereas Charter members are not. So there's gaps that can be filled, there's technology that can be deployed, there's just small things that we can do to help improve communication within our city.
Yeah, and I'll tackle that too. I'm in total agreement with Adam. We are in the 21st century, and I said it before, where we need to use the platforms that we have, whether that be social media. You're talking, there's a lot of different things out there, you know, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I mean, there's so many things, but again, we can't get away from also the publication of the newsletter that is in our utility bill. But I talked about it before. Only if you have a house, you get that. Our residents in apartments don't get that. So how can we connect with those residents without just using social platforms? Well, we need to somehow get those to the residents in the apartments. So maybe it is finding out the mailers, not just to the owner of the apartments, but getting them that form of communication to them as well. We need to keep doing the streaming services. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Adam. We have an amazing technology. We need to use it, and we need to use it so that we can also communicate with you. But us as leaderships, not just the mayor, but the council people, also need to go out to the community, meet people, do meet and greets. I mean, that's the biggest thing. We don't have all the answers, so we need to hear from the people. I know, Bob, I've heard you say it, you don't want just one person making all the decisions, but in a council setting, there's 5 of us, and we all need to come to a common understanding that we're servant leaders and we serve the people. So we need to hear from you, the people, ideas as well. I may not have all the answers to your questions, Kelly, but maybe someone else out here does that can give us that info to also get them that communication.
Communication, interesting thing, dealing with that forever, you know, before internet, media, social media, and usually it was word of mouth by then, or the old-fashioned way you went over and talked to somebody, you know, which kind of, you got the straight story, straight from the horse's mouth, or you got a question answered. You know, now with social media, I don't know, does everybody here believe everything they read on social media? So do you have a doubt? Do you question its authenticity? Well, I do. I don't know. I guess the rest of you believe it all. So, but that's all right, you know. But so I mean, social media is fine, but can you trust it? Yeah, yes, nah, no. You know, it is. I mean, I myself prefer straight talk. You know, face to face, phone to phone. You know, people aren't hard to get a hold of. You can call them, you can text them. I don't think your text will be screwed with, you know, unless you got somebody hacking your account or, you know, some other, you know, situation out there. But, I mean, we communicate as good as we can. Back in the 90s, we put it on TV so people could actually see it, see the meetings. And, you know, I was reluctant at first with the council at that time, but that was that time. Now it's fairly common. And so if you can actually see and make your own opinion on what you hear and who says what, yeah, get involved. You know, I mean, a lot of times people only get involved unless it's in their backyard or affects their pocketbook, you know, or affects part of their family. You know, I know we as people have to learn to communicate better instead of relying on other sources of conversation. One-to-one. What's wrong with human interaction? And that's kind of an opinion of myself. I don't know about the rest of you, but that's what we've lost in my journey through life so far.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Adam. John, for all responding to that question. Thanks, Kelly, for throwing that out there. A couple different questions related to just the city-college relationship. There's 900 students, mostly St. Ben's students, but some St. John's students who live in town. As mayor, what do you do to help build that relationship and a positive relationship between the college students and the city? Adam?
So looking at the different boards that we have. Looking at the different boards that we have at a city level, we have Planning Commission, EDA Economic Development Authority, CVB, park boards. We have lots of commissions where there's people on these fulfilling roles and doing important positions within our community, but they're not elected. These are people that are chosen, they ask to be on them, and they help support our city. And I think it'd be a great idea that every one of these, that we get at least one college student from either St. John's or St. Ben's to participate in it. It doesn't have to be a senior. It could be somebody that's a freshman, sophomore, junior, whatever year they are in their college journey. But if somebody that's going for business at St. John's or St. Ben's wants to participate in the Planning Commission, how valuable would that be for them? And then they're helping affect change and rules and regulations in the city that they're living, that they're participating in college. Or if somebody has a different major or minor that's related to tourism, there's the CVB. If you want to do something in like the outdoor space, we have a park board. So I understand that there might be a gap between our colleges and the city government. But a small way that we can bridge that is openly invite them to come join our boards and committees. That's not going to go against any state rules or regulations by inviting them in to work with us, because these aren't elected positions. Our college students are welcome to run for city offices if they're 21 years of age. You can run for city council. You can run for mayor against us or anybody in the future. But if that's not something that you wish to take on, a smaller commitment that can still bring us together is work with us in our boards and committees.
John, you want to take that one too?
I'll bounce off that too. Again, the city and the college, we need to be partnered. Just like we as residents are here in St. Joseph thriving, the students here are too. They're here for 4 years, and it's not like they leave and they don't come back. We have a rich history of the College of St. Ben's and the College of St. John's University. It's just known. There's businesses in our community with former alumni. You guys come back, you go to St. John's games. We have to have this partnership. I've heard people that there's a divide. There is no divide. You are a part of our city, and we need to understand and listen to you as well. To Adam's point, there are positions that are open that you could be appointed to or help. There's opportunities which I would like to see for internships even through the city. You guys, again, play a key role in where you're at. And my goal and vision is that when you leave here after 4 years, it's the best 4 years, and you want to come back and possibly live here, possibly start a business here. But I have, the prime example is my brother who's in the Navy. He just retired. Congratulations, 22 years. Him and his buddies still come back here every single year to get their Gary's Pizza, to go talk with people, right? To look at the campus. They're a part of our history and what we're doing here, not just for 4 years, but for their entire life. So we need to, again, partner. It's amazing now that the College of St. Benedict's and St. John's University has one president instead of two. There used to be, again, when I worked here, a divide. I used to get 2 separate paychecks, but I coached both St. John's and St. Ben's. There was a divide then, but now with one uniform president, we have cohesiveness that we can also partner between both of the colleges and the city.
Thanks, Sean. Bob, care to take 30 seconds and respond to
You
that?
want to repeat the question again?
How do you foster that relationship between the college and students with the city?
Well, in my life, it's been getting better every year. You know, I'm a product of the 70s and the 80s, okay? My wife went to college here, so I partied with the college and other people too. But, so I'm very familiar with the college. I grew up around the college. I used to serve Mass over here for the big population of sisters back in the day. Now it has dwindled. The campus here in my world is kind of holy. You come over here and it's a whole different world and you treat it that way. You know, sometimes you feel unwelcome, you know, especially if you got a little old nun that's been here for 100 years looking at you. What is that? But I think we're doing good. You know, we've had all these ideas of putting students on planning commissions, so forth and so on. But, you know, sometimes there's a little bit of interest, but it soon fades away. These college students are concentrating on their education, and they're a little bit of fun off the side in St. Joe, if you want to use the divide, you know. So, you know, anybody's welcome to step forward, but there's that natural divide there. You know, they don't get involved that much because they're more involved in their education or their social life at the time. While they're in college, they're networking, they're making connections for the future. So I think we're doing fine, you know, except for the big riff in the city is the colleges and the monastery don't pay property taxes. And that's been going on forever. That's one of the main beefs in the backstory of, well, why don't they pay taxes when you raise taxes? Well, the laws are the laws and so forth and so on. And you can't change that unless your legislatures can change it. And I'd wish any legislature good luck with trying to change that. So.
Thanks, Bob. This is a good question. I think we've been talking a lot about change, improvement, growth for St. Joseph. What do you want to make sure you preserve in terms of the character or the experience of living in St. Joe? What do you want to make sure you preserve about St. Joe?
Sure.
You got that. Yeah, Bob, why don't you start with that?
The culture and the heritage, which is kind of my big thing in my life, is my culture and my heritage. I come from a long line. I come back when this town first started. So I kind of was raised on that. And there's a lot of history in this town. I'd like to resurrect the History Museum on a bigger scale than what it was. But, you know, there's money and you got to convince everybody else that's on the board to resurrect that. And it costs money, and you know it doesn't bring revenue in. It just shares the history of the city, because there is great history in this city. If you go back far enough, and you know the stories, and you know what happened then, and what's happening now, and what was said then, and what is said now, you know. And I know all that, but that's beside the point, because I could go on for
Thanks,
all
Bob.
night on that one.
John, Adam, you want to?
Yeah.
What would you look to preserve?
Again, I kind of said it before. We have such a small town charm and feel, but we're big at heart. And to go on to Bob, too, we do have a lot of culture here. Growing up as a young kid, it was great running around and going to your neighbors, right? But seeing them develop, grow, and push, we haven't gotten too big for who we are. And I want to understand and make sure that we keep that charm of where we're at. We are not St. Cloud. We are not Sartell. We are not Sauk Rapids. We are not Way Park. We are St. Joseph. And again, I said it before, we're a destination city. And for the residents that live here, small but mighty, we have a lot of good things going for us, but I want to preserve that small town charm and our heritage, just like Bob said. We're great. I loved growing up here. That's why I moved my family back here, is so that they could have, hopefully, the same experience I did, albeit a little bit different because we're growing. But I'll say it again, we've got to grow responsibly, and we've got to build bridges and connect with each other on a personal level. As we get bigger, people tend to close off a little bit. So we need to keep all of those great festivals and activities and community engagements going. That's what makes us St. Joe.
Thanks, Sean. Adam, 30 seconds. We got a couple more questions, too. We should get to.
The stuff that I'd like to see retained and cherished in St. Joe is the fact that we're a walking town. My wife and I love to travel, like day trips, and just check out different cities and like check out the food culture and see what kind of cute little shops we can find. And it's honestly very rare to encounter a walking town where you can walk the entire downtown area on foot. There's shops close, there's food close, just there's so many amenities within a walking distance, authentically. Like you don't have to park and walk a quarter mile to a half mile to experience the shopping in downtown of an area. And St. Joe has that. And other things I'd want to see retained is like the beauty and pristine of College of St. Benedict and St. John's. Like people come to this town for the education, for the college, but this is such a beautiful space as well. And finally, one thing that I've always heard of ever since I was a kid in central Minnesota is the Wobegon Trail. Like Garrison Keillor captivated us with his stories about this mythical made-up trail in this hardy central Minnesota area, and so many people love that. And I believe a lot of us kind of take for granted that we have the Wobegon Trail here. Like this is a very long trail system that is a great recreational outdoor space for people. And it all started with kind of a book and abandoned railroad trails. And now we have something wonderful that cuts through our town and goes through much of central Minnesota.
Thanks, all. A question, hear that sort of small town charm, going downtown, being able to walk. We have people who are coming from other local communities to drive from Sartell, park, or try to park, and then enjoy the downtown. So how do you improve, or how do you propose addressing the limited shortage of parking in downtown St. Joe?
Yeah. If you don't mind, I'll start.
Go ahead.
I kind of said it earlier is, do we have a parking problem or do we have a space problem? We have a space problem, right? And as the city, we try to work through our ordinances, and yes, you need parking spaces, and there's things grandfathered in, but we need to connect our city with those walkways if we can for north and south so that there's opportunity not just to park downtown, but to park across 75 and then walk into town safely. I think that's a big thing. You could build a monstrosity if you want and a parking ramp, but then that makes us like other cities, and then that takes away from that small town charm or walking downtown. So we need to connect that again safely, but be able to use both sides of the highway, north and south.
Thanks, John. Adam, ideas on downtown parking?
So a lot of people take issue what they believe is insufficient parking in our downtown area. And for the amount of space that we have available, I believe we have as ample parking as we possibly can have. A lot of the businesses, our downtown area is old. A lot of it's getting renovated, which is wonderful. But a lot of the businesses predate parking requirements when you built out a business. So you could have a large structure, large building, and there was no burden to the business owner to provide parking for their prospective customers. And we can't change the past. We can't change what currently is, but what we can do is look to the future, that when new businesses open, they're mindful that they have enough parking for their employees, their staff, their customers, and that we are just respectful of like the spaces that we're renovating and that we have left. So everybody loves to come to St. Joe because it's a walking town, and I understand that people wish we had more parking, but we're being very mindful and respectful of like all the future businesses coming in and as much parking as we can for the future.
Parking's always been an issue. Always, the only way you're gonna solve it is by bulldozing properties on lots and making a big parking lot out of 3 businesses. As far as solving it, do we have ample parking? Depending upon where you can park. If you go uptown, you can park right in front of where you want to go. You're great, no problem. But, if there's an event going on and, oh my God, I got to walk 3 blocks to get to where I want to go, oh my God, people have problems with that, it is what it is, Sometimes there's more people going to some place than there's room. It's like putting 10 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound bag, But somehow you're going to transport them potatoes. But you end up with that 5-pound bag. So I don't have an answer for that. I really don't. I can play with that one all night long.
Thanks, all. One final question. Maybe this is a good one, to wrap it up on. We're at a hard stop at 8:30, so I'll just give you 30 seconds on this one, please. How do you balance the requirements of being a mayor with all your other life and work commitments?
For me, it's all about time management. I have a lot of jobs right now. I serve on a lot of committees. I do a lot of volunteering in our community, and it's all about managing your time. So for me, it's being respectful of my wife. I told her that I'm not going to take on any more than I'm already doing. So if I'm not in the city council, then I guess I can maybe be the mayor. But for me, it's just about managing time, that I don't take on more than I know that I can accomplish, more that I can fulfill the duties and roles that I'm supposed to have. And it's just being really good with time. We all have the same amount that we're allowed on a given day and what we can accomplish. And I try to squeak out as much as I can every single day so that when I go to bed, I at least know that I did as much as I could have done.
Thanks, Adam. Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, I'm retired, but I do work by choice when I want to. So, I mean, it is what it is. And I don't have kids. And the biggest regret that I have in my early years being on the city council and being active in the local community is what my kids lost and what I lost. And that's just me in retrospect, you know, so I have the time now. And I can make my own choices what I spend my time on.
Thanks,
lucky.
Bob.
So,
John.
For me, it does go back to time management, but for me, it's God, it's my family, it's my job, and it's the city, and that's what I'm devoted to. I'm a resident just like you. I do truly care about this city because, like I've said numerous times, it's where I'm raising my family. That's what I want them to see, and I'm not going to take away from them, but if I'm needed here, their full support for me is there. Before in going on this lovely journey, I had many conversations with my wife and even my kids. Something has to give. And right now, for me personally, as you know, I'm a coach as well. But I would take a step back from that to do something that I'm deeply passionate about, which is serving others. I see myself as a servant leader. And it gives me hope and passion and just a full heart to do that for the people that, again, care about our city. I don't claim to have all the answers. I never said I do. And even when they do, inevitably what happens, they change those questions. And I said it before, I can't win for all of you, but we'll fight for all of you. And there's 5 of us to hopefully make those decisions. But you've got to be willing to put yourself out there and be vulnerable and to give time to you as well. But for me, it's those 4 things.
Thank you all. Reminder, folks, this has been videotaped. You can catch that. If you haven't gotten the QR code, you can find the recording here. Please share it with your neighbors, with fellow residents. Please join me in giving a big round of applause. Appreciate it. Appreciate our 3 candidates, Adam Spaniak, Bob Loso, John Hazen. Remember, get out and vote. Early voting has begun, November 5th. Last chance. Thank you all for coming out. Grab a cookie, grab a beverage on the way out.
Thank you.